Alright, here's your full 3,000-word detailed script for stop. Don't say these words at your dinar exchange appointment in 2025. With your RV News channel intro, written in smooth, engaging paragraph format without headings. Welcome back to RV News, your trusted source for the latest updates, breaking developments, and deep dive insights on the Iraqi Dinar, the Vietnamese Dong, and everything related to the global currency revaluation. If you've been following our channel, you know that we go beyond the headlines. We connect the dots, analyze what's really going on behind the scenes, and prepare you for the moment you've been waiting for: your currency exchange. And today, we're going to cover one of the most important topics you may have never heard explained in detail. This is not hype, and it's not speculation. This is practical, real-world information that could make the difference between a smooth, profitable exchange appointment and a stressful, costly mistake. So, grab your notepad, because I'm about to share exactly what not to say when you sit down in that bank or redemption center chair in 2025 to exchange your dinar, dong, or other revaluation currencies. Here's the truth: your words at the exchange table are more powerful than you think. Once the RV goes live and you secured your appointment, everything you say is being heard, noted, and potentially used to determine how your exchange is handled. Bankers, tellers, and exchange officers are trained to listen carefully to your language because they want to protect the institution, comply with regulations, and determine the risk level of every client they deal with. They're not just typing numbers into a screen, they're assessing you from the moment you walk in. This means a wrong word, an unnecessary comment, or a slip in terminology could slow down your exchange, trigger extra verification, or even lock you into a less favorable situation. So, what are these words you should avoid? Let's start with one of the biggest, and it might surprise you. Revaluation. Yes, you heard that right. In the dinar and dong community, we say RV all the time. We talk about the revaluation as if it's common language, because for us, it is. But inside the bank, this is not a word you want to use loosely. Why? Because the banking world often doesn't call it a revaluation. They call it a currency exchange, a rate adjustment, or a foreign currency transaction. If you walk in and say, "I'm here for the revaluation," you're signaling that you've been following online chatter and are aware of an event that banks themselves may not acknowledge in that language. This can raise unnecessary questions or lead to a subtle pushback like, "I'm not sure what you mean by that, sir, ma'am." It can be awkward and delay your process. Instead, just say, "I'm here to exchange my foreign currency." Another word you need to be careful with is cash out. Many people casually say, "I'm here to cash out my dinar." It sounds harmless, right? But in banking compliance, cash out can be associated with large cash transactions that trigger certain reporting and security protocols. It may also imply you want physical cash in hand, which almost no institution will give you for large sums without significant holds, armored delivery, or special arrangements. Saying cash out could complicate things, whereas exchange or redeem keeps the conversation in the right lane. Let's talk about another dangerous phrase: tax-free. This one can be a minefield. Some people have heard that certain exchange contracts or arrangements could allow for non-taxable proceeds. Whether that's true or not in your specific case, you should never walk into a bank and declare, "I understand this exchange is tax-free." First, the bank is not the IRS. They don't determine your tax liability, and making that statement could come across as you fishing for special treatment or expecting something they cannot legally confirm. Instead, if taxes are a concern, keep that discussion between you and a licensed tax professional after your exchange. Next, avoid the phrase, "I'm part of a group." While many of us are indeed connected to exchange groups, whether it's a tier for B situation or a private arrangement, there's no need to advertise this to the person sitting across the desk. Bankers handle individual clients one by one, and group involvement can sometimes cause confusion, especially if the banker is unaware of that particular arrangement. If your exchange instructions involve a group rate, you'll be given specific codes or documents to present. Let those speak for themselves. Without unnecessary conversation, one of the most dangerous things you can say is, "I want the highest rate possible no matter what." Now, I get it, who doesn't want the best rate? But phrasing it that way can make you sound aggressive, uninformed, or desperate. Exchange officers may take it as a signal that you're not prepared, that you haven't done your homework, and that you're vulnerable to pressure. Instead, you could say something like, "I'd like to review the available rate options for my exchange." This keeps the tone professional and puts the ball in their court to present what's on the table. Also, please avoid throwing around intel terms like Tier 1, Tier for B, contract rate, or screen rate unless they specifically bring them up. While these terms are widely discussed in the currency community, they may not be part of the official bank script, and using them without context can flag you as someone who's been reading forums and chat rooms. That's not necessarily bad, but it's not going to help you look like a straightforward, easy-to-process client. Here's a big one: never say, "I'm here to get rich." This might sound obvious, but sometimes people get caught up in the excitement and blurt out something like, "This is going to change my life. I'm finally a millionaire." Remember, banking is a conservative, regulated environment. Talking like you've just hit the jackpot can make you appear impulsive, which can trigger the banker's instinct to slow things down, or even require a manager's review. Keep your language grounded, focused, and professional. Be careful with speculative statements like, "I heard the rate is $28 per dinar," or "I know people who already exchanged at $X." Even if you believe this information is accurate, sharing it during your appointment can lead to awkward pushback or a flat denial. The banker is only authorized to offer you the rate that's on their screen for your transaction. Debating rumors will not change that number, and it can frustrate both you and the bank staff. Let's also talk about timeline questions like, "When will the RV be global?" or "When will my friends be able to exchange?" These questions might feel harmless, but they take the conversation into territory your banker may not be able or willing to discuss. Keep the focus on your transaction. You can gather broader intel later from your sources or official updates. Another thing to watch out for is political commentary. Whether you think the RV is tied to a political move, a government reset, or an international agreement, the bank is not the place to share your theories. Stick to the financial transaction in front of you. Getting into political opinions can create unnecessary tension and slow your appointment. Now, some of you may be wondering, why are these words and phrases such a big deal? Because at the exchange table, perception is everything. You want to be perceived as a calm, prepared, compliant client who understands this is simply a foreign currency transaction. You don't want to be seen as someone who is emotional, speculative, or potentially difficult to process. Your goal is to make the banker's job easy, because when their job is easy, your transaction is smooth. That means your language should be short, direct, and neutral. Instead of saying, "I'm here for the RV," say, "I'd like to exchange my foreign currency." Instead of, "I need to cash out," say, "I'd like to deposit the proceeds from my exchange into my account." Instead of asking, "Is this tax-free?" say, "I'll be consulting my tax professional about this transaction." These subtle shifts keep you in the safe zone. It's also smart to avoid volunteering unnecessary information. If they don't ask where you bought your dinar or dong, don't offer a long story about the dealer you used, the rumors you've heard, or the years you've been holding it. Answer questions clearly and briefly, but don't ramble. Bankers appreciate clients who can stick to the point. Another subtle but important tip: don't use slang or code words from currency forums. Terms like the whales, the big call, the 800 numbers, or exchange packages may mean something to us in the community, but they can confuse or even alienate someone outside of it. Keep your language in plain, professional English. Here's a psychological angle most people overlook. Every word you say at the exchange table goes into your client profile in some form. That doesn't mean they're spying on you. It means they're documenting the interaction for compliance and internal review. If you make statements that sound speculative, unrealistic, or connected to unverified online chatter, it may get noted. This can affect how the bank sees you for future transactions, investment opportunities, or high net worth client programs. Now, let's be clear, avoiding these words is not about hiding anything or being dishonest. It's about communicating in the language of the environment you're entering. In the same way you wouldn't walk into a court hearing and start using street slang, you shouldn't walk into a high-level financial exchange using terms that don't belong there. You're stepping into their world, so it's smart to speak their language. If you want the best possible outcome at your appointment, here's the mindset to bring: calm, confident, cooperative, and